So what do you do when you don't have a supportive PhD advisor, or you can't find somebody that is supporting you? I want to talk about that today because I think it's an important problem that a lot of people face when they are in a PhD program. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. So having a supportive PhD advisor is really incredibly important, right? It often will dictate where you're going to go because they're willing to work with you. That dictates how fun the experience actually is for you. There's all sorts of things, whether they're going to meet with you, all those kind of things are really, really important to actually doing a good job and having a great experience when you're in higher education. The problem is that most people don't, many people don't have supportive PhD advisors that are there helping them out. And, it's nice when people sort of give you recommendations of how to get a supportive PhD advisor, but there's many situations where it's just not physically possible or it doesn't work out. So what do you do if you don't have a supportive PhD advisor? Well, the first thing is you try to make active changes to find one. So you might go talk to the chair, you might go talk to a senior professor that you know and ask them what you should do. What would be the recommendation? Now, it's probably going to be a lot different depending on what stage you are in, right? So if it's early in the process, a couple years in, for example, you might want to go and switch and find somebody that you are it's going to be a good working relationship with. And that might be even at a different university. And that is completely fine. Now, if you're towards the end, you might not want to do that, right? You're really close and things are just not working out for whatever reason. You're almost close to finishing. You got a year left. Well, then you might want to sort of think about how do you just grind it through. And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about with the second part of this, is that as you go through the career, you realize that, support and all that kind of stuff is really incredibly important, but there's many moments where that just doesn't happen and it's going to be up to you. And I think that's where you really start thinking about, I just got to pick it up myself. And it's not going to be somebody else that's going to help me. I need to do this despite what the rest of the world is saying and doing about it. And I think that's where you have to get into that belief, that mentality that you could just do this no matter what somebody is actually saying. You just do it. And you execute and you get up, you do the work, and then you go to bed. And that's it. Every single day. You just simply execute. And you do that repeatedly. Now, you might have problems with your advisor because they're trying to pull you down or they're asking too much work. Well, then simply just keep doing that. Keep running against that wall. I know it's difficult, but just navigate it in such a way that you just turn off the outside world, right? You just kind of go blank screen. The way that I've been I've thought about this. It's just, and there's this great YouTube show that's out there from Les Carter, I believe, with talking about he's a psychologist. And, it's thinking about how do you deal with people that are difficult and you just go cold, you just are a gray rock, I think he calls it. And you just kind of execute. Right? You have no emotion, you just get up and you just do this again and again and again until it actually gets done. And then after that, you find, you navigate to something else. You slowly navigate to something else, right? So that's at a moment where you don't really have that many options, right? And it's difficult to actually get done. And that happens to a lot of people. It doesn't make sense to go switch after you're 5 years in, you're almost complete, you're 6 months to go, it doesn't make sense for you to actually switch a PhD supervisor. Why would you do that, right? Like, you have to think about how to execute, unless it's such a terrible relationship and it's just like there's nothing left of it. You kind of grind through to get to the other side, and you're just like, I'm just going to do this no matter what. And I think that's where it changes, right? So at the beginning, you try to set yourself up. For the first couple of years, you set yourself up with a good supportive relationship. But if that's not there, and there's many people that are not there, I know that because of this whole YouTube channel, that lots of people watch this, all you have to do is just get up and start grinding, and you realize it's just me, right? So I think about, there's lots of people that do triathlons, or they do, crazy sports or whatever, and they get up in the middle of the night. That's kind of what you have to get into that mentality, is I'm just going to get up and get this done, and nobody else is going to say anything about this. So when I was finishing my PhD, I'll give you an example. We had our second child, right? So we had 2 small kids. It was, my first one was 3, and my youngest one was just an infant. Well, we just had to get up and get the work done, no matter what was going on. It was grueling and it was tiring, but you just got up and got it done. I remember getting up many times, just getting up at 4 a.m. and just working until I was exhausted, and going to bed at like 8 or 9 when baby wanted to go back to sleep again, right? And you just get into that just to get it done. And then you get it done, and then you can move on to the next step, right? But I don't want you to think about that early on. There's plenty of time, right? But there's a moment where you just need to get the work done towards the end. But at the beginning, by all means, go and find, look for different relationships, look for supportive relationships where you're gonna have something. You might even just rely on a YouTube show, for example, right? That's gonna be helpful. So I just want you to think through this in terms of how to actually deal with it in an effective way. And to some degree, the other thing I want you to remember is that sometimes the advisor's just projecting the uncertainty on the market onto you. And sometimes they just are not in a good mood because of that, right? And so being a little bit empathetic in what's happening, and I know that not everybody is easy to be empathetic to, but just be a little empathetic to them might be very important for you in terms of dealing with getting through to the other end. So hopefully this helps you out, and I'm sorry that you're going through this, but there's many times that you're going to go through that are challenging, and you just simply have to get up and execute, and that's it. Or you go find better opportunities, but it's very, very hard to do that, as you're well aware of. You can try to work through the situation, or you can find a different situation that's suited for you. All right, so if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. By the way, go check out the Reciprocity platform. It's the sort of sharing economy editing platform that I'm trying to build out. Please go sign on to it. Be very appreciative. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.